Hello everyone, I am Shadashiv Rao and welcome to Sada Learning Hub. Today's session we are going to learn types of variables in Java programming language. Based on the type of values represented by the variable, all variables are divided into the two types. They are primitive variables and reference variables. Now we are going to primitive variables. Primitive variables can be used to represent the primitive values. For example, int x is equal to 10. Int x is equal to 10 is a primitive variable. Next, reference variables. Reference variables can be used to refer the object. For example, student is a class. Student s is equal to new student. That is a s is a reference variable. Now I can see one example for you for the primitive variables and the reference variables. Int x is equal to 10. It is a primitive variables. Student s is equal to new student. Here s is an object of a student. This s is a reference variable. Based on the purpose and position of a declaration, all variables are divided into the following three types. These are instance variables, static variables, and local variables. Instance variables. If the value if the value of a variable is varied from object to object, such type of variables are called the instance variables. For every object, a separate copy of instance variable will be created. Instance variables will be created at the time of object creation and destroyed at the time of object destruction. Hence, the scope of the instance variables is exactly same as scope of objects. Instance variables will be stored on the heap as the part of an object. Instance variables should be declared within the class directly, but outside of any method or a block or a constructor. Instance variables can be accessed directly from instance area, but cannot be accessed directly from static area. Next, instant variables will be stored on the heap as a part of an object. But by using the object reference, we can access instance variable from static area. I can show you one example for you. This is a class test. I am creating a variable int x is equal to 10. Sorry. This is a class test. I'm creating a variable with the data type integer I. Now this is the public static void main. I can explain next lessons. Uh, See system.out.println. I am printing the I, but I is a non-static variable. I cannot be referenced from a static context. This is a invalid. Now I am creating an object for a test class. Test t is equal to new test. Here I am accessing I variable through a test object t.I. This is a valid. Now I am creating a one method in the test class. I am printing the value in that method. See, this is a non-static block. That why it can be accessed here. For the instance variables, it is not required to perform the initialization. JVM will always provide the default value. Next, I can show you one more example. Class test T. I can create a one boolean data type with a variable B. Now uh, I can create an object of class T. Now I can print the B variable value T dot B. Here it can be print the false. Means instance variables, also known as object level variables, are attributes. Next, I am going to discuss about static variables. If the variable of a variable is not varied from object to object, such type of variables is not recommended to declare as a instance variables. We have to declare such type of variables at a class level by using a static modifier. In the class of instance variables, for every object a separate copy will be created, but in case of a static variable, for an entire class only one copy will be created and shared by every object of that class. Static variables will be created at the time of a class loading and destroyed at the time of class unloading. Hence, the scope of a static variable is exactly same as the scope of the .class file. Static variables will be stored in method area. Static variables should be declared within the class directly, but outside of any method or block or a constructor. Static variables can be accessed from both instance and static area directly. We can access static variable either by class name or by object reference, but usage of class name is recommended. But within the same class, it is not required to use class name. We can access directly. Guys, I can show you one example for you. I am creating a one class name as test T. I can create a one variable, static variable. Type is an integer type. Now I'm creating the object of a test class. Now I am printing mm, I variable by using a test class object t dot I is equal to 10. Otherwise, without using an object of test class, we can use it to directly test class name dot variable name. Why? Because static variables can be accessed by using a class name, or we can use static variable directly with variable name I. It is also possible. Finally, static variables access by using three ways: by using object, by using a class name, or by using directly we can access in a static blocks. Static block means this is a method is declared by the static. That is a static method. See, for this class, I can give you one statement for you. For the static variables, it is not required to perform the initialization explicitly. JVM will always provide the default values. See, I am creating a static variable s, which is the data type is a string. Now, I can print the string variable as it shows null. Why? Because a static variable, it is not required to perform the initialization explicitly. JVM will always provide the default values. Here, as is the default value is null. And I can give you one more example here. See, this is an instance variable x. This is a static variable y. Now, I am creating an object of test class. Object name is t1. Now t1 dot x is equal to 888. T1 dot y is equal to 999. And test t2 is equal to new test. I am printing t2 dot x. What it refers, t2 refers 10. Why? Because we are modifying the value of t1 context object sx, that is 888. Now here t2 dot x, it is a 10. You are saying t2 dot y, this is the t2 dot y, here 999. Why? Because static variables are the shared variables. Next, static variables also known as a class level variables. Next, I'm going to discuss about local variables. Sometimes we meet the temporary requirements of a programmer. We can declare variables inside a method or a block or a constructor. Such type of variables are called the local variables, or automatic variables, or temporary variables, or a static variables. The local variables will be created as a part of the block execution in its declared and destroyed once the block execution completed. Hence, the scope of the local variables is exactly same as scope of a block in which it is declared. Now, I can show you one example for this. Here, test is a class I am creating inside of the main method int I is equal to 0. For this is a loop. We can discuss with loops in further lessons, guys. Don't worry about this one. J is equal to 0, j less than or equal to 3, j plus plus, I is equal to I plus j. Now I am printing I and j value. Here, while executing this one, we got the exception, cannot find the symbol. Why? Because j scope is this block only. We can't access the variables here. That is called the local variables. I can show you one more example. Here int I is equal to integer dot parseInt of 10. Here, if you are printing I is here, system dot out dot println, I am printing I here. If you are printing I here, here also cannot find the symbol. Why? Because the I scope is in this block only. Means here I acts as a local variable. The local variables will be stored on the stack. For the local variables, JVM won't provide any default values. Compulsory, we should perform the initialization explicitly of that variables. Next, I can show you one more example. Here, I am creating a class test int x if args dot length greater than or equal to 0. I am initializing the variable x is equal to 10. Now I am printing the variable x. Here it gives the exception. Variable x might not have been initialized. Why? Because local variables must be initialized. Otherwise, it gives the exception. Here also same. Here, test is a class. This is the public static void main. I'm declaring a x here. If args dot length greater than or equal to 0, it going to, if it is true, x is equal to 10. Otherwise, x is equal to false. System dot out dot println. I'm printing the x value. Now it doesn't give any exception. Why? Because it executes one of the condition here. May be true or it may be a false. I can give you one more example, guys. It is never recommended to perform the initialization for the local variables inside the logical box because there is no guarantee of executing the blocks where at a runtime. See here, this is the local variable. I am checking the condition here, args dot length greater than or equal 0. It may be executed, may not be executed. If it executed, fine. If it is not executed, then x is not initialized with the value. Whenever you are printing the x, if it is initialized, it can be shows the value. Otherwise, it gives an error. Variable x might not have been initialized. Next, it is highly recommended to perform the initialization for the local variables at the time of declaration, at least with the default value. The only applicable modifier for the local variables is final. If we are using any other modifier, we will get compile time error. See here, I am declaring public int x is equal 10, private int x is equal 10, protected int x is equal 10, and static, volatile, transient, final. These are not a valid declarations. Why? Because the only modifier of a local variable is final. If we are using any other modifier, it will get a compile time error. See here, we are using modifier as a public, private, protected, static, volatile, transient. That's why it gives a illegal state of start of expression. Now I'm giving a conclusion. For the static and the instance variables, it is not required to perform the initialization explicitly. JVM will provide their default value. But for the local variables, JVM won't provide any default values compulsory. We should perform initialization explicitly before using that variable. For every object, a separate copy of instance variables will be created, whereas for entire class, a single copy of static variable will be created. For every thread, a separate copy of a local variable will be created. Instance and static variables can be accessed by multiple threads simultaneously, and hence these are not threads safe. But local variables can be accessed by only one thread at a time, and hence local variables are thread safe. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much watching this video. Hope this lesson helpful to you. Keep watching our lessons. Keep writing to us. Do not forget subscribe our channel SADA Learning Hub because we have many sessions that would help you to develop our skills, and I will be back soon. Till then you take care. Bye bye.